Hello and welcome to Law and Life. This is Shashank Mishra as the host, present with eminent senior advocate of Supreme Court of India, Subodh Markandelli. This channel is an initiative by senior advocate to share years of experience and discussions on various legal issues happening in India. Likewise, today in episode number 36, we will try to give some reflection on PMLA, that is Prevention of Money Laundering Act.
This judgment, Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary versus Union of India, that is SLP criminal number 4634 of 2014, it has been recently decided on 27 July 2022 by a three-judge bench presided over by Justice Khanvelkar. It runs into five pages. So it will take some time for me to fully comprehend all the implications of the judgment. In the newspapers, I have read the criticism of this judgment by a number of worthy people like Pratap Bhanu Mehta, Professor Upendra Bakshi, and Mr. Sitaram Yechuri. One gentleman, Manu Sebastian, has gone to the extent of calling it Justice Khanvilkar's legacy and condemn it as digression of fundamental rights. 17 opposition political parties have also issued a statement criticizing the government. Let's be very clear. This judgment has nothing to do with India's common man's fundamental rights. They are as safe as they always were. Money laundering actually touches and concerns a very limited select class of persons uh, who deal with in what is called, uh, the proceeds of crime. Uh, and it deals with a very serious species of crime, that is money laundering. My first exposure to this branch of law was in 1996 when I read Ian Brown's seminal work called Proceeds of Crime. There, the author, learned author, has given a very valuable compendium of British laws, international conventions, European laws. So, if you compare them with what we have in the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, I think this law is not uh, any more harsh than uh, the laws which I mentioned. So, as I said, those laws are very, in other countries, laws are, particularly in America, European countries, and Singapore, these laws are very harsh because they take the prevention of these crimes very seriously.
Sir, but aren't provisions of PMLA very draconian?
Well, yes, they are. The Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1962 was the most draconian law ever enacted anywhere. After that, practically every regulatory law in India has copied, those harsh provisions in the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. So, uh, as far as my memory goes, all these harsh laws have always been there. And Prevention of Money Laundering Act does not have more harsh provisions than, let us say, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, a Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act, or Customs Act. All the regulatory laws are very harsh and they are just copied from one provision, from one act to the other.
So, what are those harsh provisions?
Well, these harsh provisions, relate to the power of departmental officers to search and seize documents and things which they find during the course of search and seizure operations. Then searches of persons, vehicles, and the like. It's where the provision is so made that it's very difficult or almost impossible to get bail. Then there are provisions which cast burden of proof not on the prosecution but on the accused or persons facing adjudication. As you know, it is completely contrary to what we find in the Evidence Act. Although Evidence Act has the seeds of these this burden of proof and uh, provisions relating to the, the presumptions, the rebuttable presumptions. So these provisions, there are more provisions like vicarious corporate liability, statutory presumptions, but statutory presumptions are there in the Evidence Act also. They presume certain state of things, and the burden of proof to disprove them lies on the accused. Then the other provisions which have also been criticized as harsh are, bar on civil courts jurisdiction. So these are the provisions. The principle of law that departmental officers are not police officers has also been subjected to a lot of criticism. But let me tell you very uh, frankly that this principle of law has only been reiterated in this judgment, uh, although it has been criticized so much. But the declaration of law that departmental officers are not police officers was made by the Supreme Court way back in 1962, and they have been uh, followed since then without any deviation. So this criticism is quite, if I may just say, very ill-informed.
So what else would you like to add on this?
So one of the questions which was raised in this case, which has now been decided in this Chaudhry's case, was that many provisions in the Prevention of Money Laundering Act have been added through the Finance Act route. Uh, and that question has been left open to be decided with and after decision in Roger Matthews' case, which has been referred to a bench of 7 judges. So it can be decided either with that case, which is before the 7 judges bench, or after that. So as I said, much of the criticism, is not very well informed. All these provisions have been there since long time, and their constitutional validity has been repeatedly upheld. You will be very surprised to know that all these provisions are verbatim same. Whether you look at Foreign Exchange Regulation Act or any other regulatory law, they are verbatim same. And so much of the criticism is because uh, in recent times, the uh, the raids by the uh, enforcement department, that is ED, has been made into so many politicians, uh, homes and offices and so on. But this, as I said, this kind of law have been in existence since at least 1962, when Foreign Exchange Regulation Act was enacted, and courts have repeatedly upheld the constitutional validity of those laws. So much of the noise is, ill-informed. I can understand if you make out really, if you really go through the provisions, find out something new, then I think criticism would be valid. But this is just a chorus.
Yes, sir. And thank you, sir. In present, all the questions related to the PMLA have been discussed. If the viewers have any question, they may comment down below. And that's all for the day, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.